Hi everybody, we have Mihailo here with us, who's an SEO expert for e-commerce, who's going to answer a few questions. Mihailo, could you tell a little bit about yourself, please?
Hi Dusan, thanks for inviting me in this podcast. My name is Mihailo and I am the founder of Elvion. We are the agency that is specialized in e-commerce SEO. Now we are working with many merchants and helping them understanding what will the future of SEO look like and how they can monetize everything that they have from Google and from other search engines.
Amazing. And talking about things that are coming to us, we have a really important question, like how is AI changing the user journey when we talk about purchases?
Right. More and more people search from platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, etc. So that's inevitable. However, on the other side, we have Google as an ultimate lead in the e-commerce infrastructure and overall crawling data for the internet. So just to give you the perspective, Google's shopping graph contains more than 35 billion product listings, meaning that Google has by far the biggest amount of data compared to any other platform that's out there. So from the user perspective, the behavior will change in terms that search patterns will change. AI bots will do a lot of research and a lot of data gathering for the user itself, but the end point for product discovery and actual product consideration will come from Google's data. So my point is, although it is important to understand how the search behavior will change, it's important to understand on the other side that Google will still remain as the most dominant platform for e-commerce SEO and for overall e-commerce search journey. So the Google itself becomes more like a marketplace rather than just a search engine. And if you just search from the United States or any other English-speaking country, you will see from Google's own search pages that they look more like a category page rather than just search engine listing with 10 links. So that gives us a perspective that Google will favor more and more that kind of purchasing experience. And that is something that guides our actions and our optimization efforts for e-commerce merchants.
Right. And when we talk about optimization, could you give us a few practical steps what e-commerce store owners can do today to just maintain that strong visibility and just to drive more traffic using whatever they can in terms of SEO?
Sure. So the number one thing that e-commerce companies must look at is product feed. So out of 100 e-commerce clients we work with, more than 60% of them don't have the properly optimized product feed. And what I mean by that is significant portion of that list of companies don't have product feed at all enabled within the Merchant Center or any other Google's platform, which is very bad. And then on the other side, the actual product feed that they have doesn't necessarily reflect the real product availability and the real picture that's there in their e-commerce store. So just by the proper product feed existing plus basic tag optimization, because each product property within Google Merchant Center has different kind of sub tags and items that you can describe the product. If you just take care of that and have the proper product feed, you will do better compared to like 70-80% of your competitors, because unfortunately not the vast majority of e-commerce merchants actually optimize that carefully and actually think about that from the strategic standpoint. And then the last thing when it comes to the product feeds is actual optimization of product page itself, and a basic product schema markup will do the wonders in terms of Google actually being enabled to use that product within their shopping properties. Then the next thing is actual understanding of data. So Google unfortunately doesn't provide the clearest path for you to take a look at the Google Shopping and Google Free Organic Listing data in terms of impressions, visibility, clicks, etc. Because part of the data is available in Google Search Console, The other part of data is available through Google Merchant Center, and that doesn't give us the full picture. Then on the other side, we have a Google Analytics with a primary channel source labeled as organic shopping, but based on our experience, that also has some flaws. So just being able to collect all these 3+ data sources and having a complete picture how your store is performing on Google's own shopping properties will give you the better overview where you are currently standing and what do you need to optimize further. And then the last thing, what is own your niche. Based on our extensive experience, we can clearly see that Google and other search engines prioritizes stores that are experts in their niche. Of course, the niche can be bigger, can be smaller, but the best thing for you is to specialize in specific category, or if the store itself, like in different categories, they anyways have 2 or 3 categories that are main sales drivers, and then the rest of the categories are really secondary. So what I would say is own your niche with a proper category focus, and the best thing that I can recommend to them is to really take care of the product taxonomy, meaning that their products are available in, let's say, certain number of categories, but the same products could be described in other ways, and those ways are literally the ways how people search for products on Google. So I'll give you just one example. Unfortunately, many merchants have the proper filter menu and faster navigation, etc., but that is not reflected in the actual site hierarchy. So for example, if a merchant sells shoes, they need to take care that each brand has its own dedicated category, each brand subline, or even like the third level of that hierarchy, then color, then size, then gender, all of those filter categories that are present within the actual product feed and the actual product information should be reflected in the actual site architecture and site hierarchy with the new collection pages. We've seen many examples where companies literally have 20 categories, but they can actually have more than 100,000 categories. And each of that category actually represents a new asset to their e-commerce store because it generates new users, new purchases every month. And then when you scale that to the maximum amount of e-commerce categories, then you can have a pretty decent number of new assets and new visibility that you owned. Then the second thing within this own your niche item is definitely the topical authority. And I know that term is used a lot in the industry and companies may not understand that properly.
Yeah, exactly.
But
because regular merchants might not understand what that really means if they're not SEO specialists.
Exactly. The topical authority basically from this SEO business perspective means that you cover the topic that you are focusing on, the primary topic of your website, from above and beyond. That means that you need to showcase the expertise and you need to showcase your extensive experience within that niche by providing proper nested architecture of every information that you have on the website through articles, through product pages, through category pages, and to actually connect everything that you have on the website with the proper internal linking so that your site becomes like crawl desired by search engines because you optimize all of those paths and everything from the crawler perspectives, and also you help search engines and other bots understand how your store stands in overall niche. So whether you are the expert, whether you are just entered the market, etc. So what we can clearly see is that the companies that invest in the proper content strategy and the proper content mapping of everything they do from the product perspective tend to have better performance for the actual transactional segments and like products or categories. So that is a very important item. And also what we see from the biggest merchants is that any content campaign that is on the website actually serves the user experience. Like guides how to choose the best, then insert your product. Reasons why you should consider this over this, etc. Then the last thing, something that I've talked about briefly in the previous point, and something that's a bit technical and something that I would advise companies hiring the expert to actually perform the analysis for, is understanding the crawl bot behavior and understanding how crawl bots like Google's bot, like Perplexity bot, like ChatGPT bot crawls the website, what are the patterns that they have, and how can you actually optimize the website with a proper linking and with a proper site architecture so that those bots can visit more and more of your website. You may potentially have problems with crawl budgets and actually how many resources can these companies dedicate to you as a website. And because of that, it's very important that you effectively spend those resources, and that's where log file analysis can help you. So in a nutshell, log file is just a file where you can understand and see what are the paths that bots see throughout the website and crawl throughout the website. So that can give you a pretty decent overview of the overall site performance and what you can optimize for better performance.
Right. What amount of products are we talking about in terms of like new merchants when you start hitting that ceiling of actually needing to deal with all budgeting?
Right. So I would say that if you have less than 10,000 products, then you shouldn't care about this at all, because by default, Google will grant, and other search engines will grant you the crawl budget needed to crawl the entire website. Now, when we talk about products, when you have 10,000 products or more, that means that you probably have hundreds of categories. Hundreds of categories may have a lot of filtering, then categories may have subcategories. So 10,000 products is actually followed by thousands of dedicated pages that display those products, plus other articles or anything that's out there on the website.
Right. Mihailo, thank you so much for sharing all of the data and all of the knowledge that you gathered. I'm sure that the listeners will be thrilled to be smarter after hearing this. So thank you so much, and until we meet again.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope that our audience will find this valuable.
Thank you.